What if a player who once barely cracked the surface in Boston suddenly became one of the most discussed names on the trade market? Drew Peterson, a forward who passed quietly through the Celtics system, is now generating whispers that could explode into something much bigger. But why is his name resonating across front offices right now? And what does it say about the way the league is shifting its priorities? The Charlotte Hornets, a team desperate to find stability, are reportedly listening to interest in Peterson, and that interest is not casual. One source described another franchise as desperate to land him. That word alone changes everything. Desperation in the trade market means leverage, hidden motives, and the possibility that Peterson's role is being underestimated by the public. Could he be the kind of undervalued piece that transforms a rotation? Peterson is not the typical headline player. He is not dropping 30 points a night, but he carries something more elusive, the ability to slide into multiple roles without disrupting team balance. That is exactly what the Celtics once valued in him, and it is no coincidence that teams chasing stability now see him as a solution. What nobody expected is that a player with such a low-key profile would suddenly have executives treating him as a priority. And yet, that is the beauty of the NBA market. The players overlooked by fans are often the ones coaches and GMs fight over behind closed doors. The real question is this: if Peterson is drawing this much attention, what does it reveal about the Hornets' plan? Are they preparing to cash in on a trade chip before his value spikes even further? Or are they using his name to test how desperate other teams truly are? A move involving Peterson would not just be about him. It would be a domino piece, signaling how aggressively Charlotte intends to rebuild. Here is where things get more controversial. Some insiders believe that if a contender secures Peterson, he might end up as a playoff X-factor, a player who does not carry star power, but swings a series with timely plays. Imagine a stretch forward who can defend multiple spots, hit key shots, and bring composure in chaotic moments. That is not glamorous, but it is invaluable. And if that team happens to be in the East, the ripple effect could put added pressure on franchises like Miami, Philadelphia, or even Milwaukee. Fans might shrug, but the truth is, trades like this one often separate the good from the great. What nobody wants to admit is that sometimes it is not about landing a superstar. It is about finding the perfect glue player who elevates the stars you already have. Peterson could quietly become that guy. The NBA offseason thrives on speculation, but this situation feels different. The word desperate will hang over every call, every negotiation, every rumor. And when a team finally pulls the trigger, the reaction will not be about Drew Peterson's past, but about the fear of what he might become if another franchise unleashes him in the right system. So the burning question remains: will the Hornets play it safe, or will they gamble with a piece who might be more dangerous in another jersey than he ever could be in their own? One thing is certain: Peterson's name will not disappear from the headlines anytime soon. And when the move comes, it may spark debates no one was prepared to have. What if the move that looks like a desperate salary dump is actually the chess play that keeps Boston alive until Tatum returns? Imagine this: the Celtics flipping Anthony Simons, a dynamic scorer who never quite found his rhythm in green, for Nikola Vucevic, a two-time All-Star who could instantly anchor the paint and bring a layer of stability that the roster now desperately needs. It sounds shocking, almost counterintuitive, but what if this is the exact gamble that buys Boston one more shot at contention while waiting for their franchise cornerstone to heal? The timing makes this rumor even more intriguing. After Jason Tatum's Achilles rupture, many assumed Boston would simply fold into a transitional year, trimming salary, dodging the second apron penalties, and preparing for the future. But is that really what Brad Stevens is doing, or is he quietly retooling the roster with one eye fixed on another deep playoff run? Trading Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis looked like a teardown. Yet bringing in a veteran big man like Vucevic could be a direct statement that Boston refuses to wave the white flag. Let's be honest, the Celtics' current center rotation, with Neemias Queta, Chris Boucher, and Luka Garza, is a collection of question marks. Queta is still raw, Boucher is inconsistent, and Garza has yet to prove he can handle playoff-level minutes. Does anyone truly believe this trio can survive a 7-game series against Joel Embiid or Giannis Antetokounmpo? The addition of Vucevic would instantly silence those doubts. And here comes the twist. While many dismiss Vucevic as a fading veteran, his numbers tell a different story. 18-10, career-high three-point shooting, and durability with over 70 games played last season. These are not the marks of a player in decline. They are the profile of a veteran who still has enough left in the tank to swing playoff matchups. Imagine a Celtics offense where Vucevic's floor spacing pulls opposing centers out of the paint, opening driving lanes for Jaylen Brown, and giving shooters like Sam Hauser cleaner looks. But the real debate is philosophical. Should Boston invest in a short-term fix with Vucevic or hold on to Simons, a younger guard with scoring upside? On paper, Simons fits a long-term mold, but does he really fit Boston's identity without Tatum on the floor? His defensive limitations are glaring, and his scoring overlaps with what Brown already brings. Vucevic, meanwhile, fills an immediate positional void, and more importantly, comes at a cheaper salary number. And here lies the uncomfortable question that few fans want to ask. Is the Celtics' window really tied only to Tatum's recovery? Or can they extend it by making shrewd, almost surgical trades that preserve flexibility while keeping the team competitive? Trading for Vucevic does not mortgage the future, it actually protects it. No long-term commitment, no heavy financial baggage, just a veteran center who knows how to produce in the regular season and who has the skill set to punish defenses in the half-court grind of the playoffs. Think about the message it sends. Boston is not surrendering, they are playing the long game, refusing to let Tatum's injury define the season. Instead of disappearing into irrelevance, they are setting up a storyline that could become one of the most remarkable comebacks in franchise history. Imagine the scenario. Tatum returns late season or even just in time for the playoffs to join a team that has quietly stayed alive with Brown leading the charge and Vucevic stabilizing the interior. That is not just survival, that is a setup for shock and awe. What if the signing that looks irrelevant on paper ends up being the move that changes Boston's rotation in ways no one predicted? The Celtics have reportedly brought in Wendell Moore Jr. on an Exhibit 10 deal, and while most observers shrug at such signings, the reality is far more intriguing. Moore is not a household name. He has bounced between Minnesota, Detroit, and Charlotte, collecting modest stats and little spotlight. But here is the question that Celtics fans should be asking. Why would a championship organization known for precision moves and long-term vision choose Moore over dozens of other fringe options available on the market? What is Boston seeing that the rest of the league is missing? Exhibit 10 deals are usually about filling camp spots, but they can also be golden tickets. They create the possibility of a transformation from forgotten player into unexpected contributor. The curiosity lies in Boston's current roster transition, with veterans like Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford, and Luke Kornet moving out. The Celtics' depth chart has quietly shifted. What used to be a closed door for players like Moore is suddenly an opening filled with uncertainty and risk, but also opportunity. And here comes the uncomfortable truth, one that nobody likes to say out loud. The Celtics do not need stars right now. They need specialists who can thrive in short bursts, players who bring energy in practices, who can push the established core, who can step in during the grueling months when injuries test rotations. Could Moore become that unexpected factor? Could he be the gritty wing who delivers when Boston least expects? Some insiders suggest that Boston scouts have tracked Moore's defensive instincts more than his scoring numbers. If that is true, it reveals a hidden layer of strategy. Defense wins championships, and depth built on relentless role players is exactly what kept Boston dominant last year. Imagine Moore carving a role as a disruptive perimeter defender, someone who gives Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown the freedom to conserve energy in stretches. That is not just filling a roster spot, that is a subtle shift in how Boston sustains elite play through a long season. But there is also a spiky debate waiting to happen. Would the Celtics dare to convert Moore into a two-way contract over a more known piece like Jordan Walsh or Neemias Queta? What if Brad Stevens believes that betting on a player discarded by 3 franchises is actually smarter than giving minutes to a rookie who still lacks experience? This is not just a roster decision, it is a philosophy test about risk, vision, and trust in player development. And then comes the most explosive question of all. What if Moore plays so well in camp that Boston is forced to create space for him, even if it means making a bold cut that nobody sees coming? Which name would be sacrificed for him, and how would that shake the locker room? What if the Boston Celtics, fresh off their championship glow, are about to take their boldest gamble in years? A gamble that could decide whether this roster holds steady until Jason Tatum's Achilles is healed, or if the front office dares to tilt the balance again. The backcourt is suddenly the battleground, and the names at the center of the debate are not the ones fans expected. The departure of Drew Holiday left Joe Mazzulla with a question no one saw coming. Who should be trusted to line up next to Derek White, the quiet defensive anchor who now has to shoulder even more responsibility? The choices are dramatic opposites. Peyton Pritchard, the steady guard who embodies continuity and grit, or Anthony Simons, a $30 million scorer whose presence feels like both an opportunity and a ticking clock. But here is the real twist. Boston's decision is not only about who starts games, it is about identity. Do the Celtics double down on system and loyalty, or do they bet on raw scoring firepower and the volatility that comes with it? Simons brings the kind of instant offense that can transform a stagnant quarter into a 12-point surge. His 3-year run as a starter in Portland proved he can command attention, bend defenses, and deliver isolation buckets that few guards his age can match. Yet there is a shadow hanging over his arrival. He is on an expiring deal, and everyone in the league knows he might be flipped before the deadline. Is Boston really prepared to build a backcourt around someone who could be gone in February? Or is that uncertainty exactly what makes him the perfect short-term weapon? This is where Peyton Pritchard's case becomes more fascinating. Forsberg and others argue he deserves first crack, and not simply because he was part of the 2024 title run. The hidden truth is that Pritchard has been auditioning for this role under pressure for years. Every time the Celtics tested his limits, he pushed the ceiling higher. Every time he was underestimated, he forced his way into relevance. His efficiency as a shooter, 40.7% from deep last season, is only the surface. What makes him different is the way his production scales with opportunity. Take the games without Tatum or Jaylen Brown. When the spotlight was unavoidable, Pritchard responded with near 20-point averages, strong rebounding for his size, and assist numbers that showed he can run the floor with control. The numbers suggest something few analysts dare to admit. Pritchard might not just be capable of filling a gap, he might actually be ready to thrive as a full-time starter on a championship-level roster. Still, questions linger. Can he truly handle the defensive demands of a starter, night in and night out? Can he sustain efficiency when every opponent's scouting report is designed to slow him down? And most crucially, can the Celtics trust him to be the bridge until Tatum returns? The intrigue grows when you realize Boston does not actually need Simons and Pritchard to compete for the same role. They could redefine their dynamic completely. Imagine Pritchard as the stabilizer, keeping the offense smooth while feeding White and Brown. And imagine Simons unleashed as a super sixth man, a microwave scorer who punishes second units and forces opposing coaches to adjust. That alignment could extend the Celtics' depth while keeping the trade option alive if the right blockbuster opportunity emerges mid-season. But here is the most dangerous question. What if Boston risks holding on to Simons too long? Every front office knows his value as a trade chip. His expiring contract and scoring profile could headline a deal that lands another star before the playoffs. Waiting too long could mean losing him for nothing. Could the Celtics afford that mistake when their window is wide open? Verdict, at least for now, points toward Pritchard. Reports suggest he is on track to claim the starting spot, leaving Simons in a role that could either unlock Boston's bench or set the stage for another high-stakes trade. Fans should not see this as a compromise. It might actually be the masterstroke. Pritchard's loyalty and efficiency, combined with Simons' volatility, gives the Celtics two paths at once. Stability if they need it, flexibility if opportunity knocks.